Hello everyone, it's Imran here. Welcome back to another video. So I'm going to react to another Thomas and Friends audio production by Narrowgauge I Am. This one was actually uploaded in commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the Railway series on May 12th, which of course was the same day I did that reaction to the 1983 Down the Mine pilot I did. And this one is called Gordon's Tribute. So basically in this story, to celebrate the 80th anniversary of his class, Gordon is to be painted green and wear the same name and number of one of his fallen brothers. So this is obviously, if you all saw the Railway series story, Tenders for Henry, you know how much Gordon struggled with, how he's basically, he all his brothers was, barring, except for the famous Flying Scotsman, were basically scrapped over on the mainland they were during the dieselisation period in the 1960s, and obviously how depressed Gordon became until obviously Fat Controller arranged for Flying Scotsman to come and visit, and, well, it seems like we're gonna see more Gordon struggles in this story as he decides to pay tribute to one of his fallen brothers. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. It is to see how this story plays out and how Gordon Dunn um handles his grief over losing one of his brothers. I mean, because I think in the Thomas universe, I think it's only him and his brother Flying Scotsman who are the only two of the same class left, as you can see right there. So don't know why I said you can see right there, but yeah, this I know I'm pretty much I'm 6 months late on this because it will be exactly 6 months tomorrow when this video was uploaded. It was, but better late than never, I guess. The 80th anniversary goes on until the end of the year. It does, so yeah, why not? Link for I'm reacting to in the description down below as always. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into this. The last one I reacted to, by the way, from Narrowgauge was start of last month, Tenderless Night. So you want to check that out? I have it on the top right corner of your screen.
Dear friends, the year is a special one, marking 80 years since the first book in the Railway series.
Yep.
Since then, we've been introduced to many wonderful, funny, and interesting stories from the island of Sodor, as well as all the engines who starred in them. I recall hearing a time when our dear Gordon took part in a similar celebration, one where he was given an immense responsibility. I'm sure it is something he will never forget. This story will tell you all about it. The author.
Okay. See what this one's all about.
Gordon was excited. He had heard that the Fat Controller had a special plan for him, and spent the evening in the sheds speculating. Perhaps it's a train of important visitors, he said. It would only be natural that a fine and important engine like me be chosen to take them. The other engines rolled their eyes. Perhaps it will be another one of those special goods trains, chortled Henry. You like those a lot, don't you, Gordon? The big engine went red as everyone laughed.
Yeah, we know Gordon
Edward
doesn't like
spoke up.
trucks.
I think I know what it might relate to. Isn't it nearly 80 years since your class was built?
Yep.
Goodness me, you're right, replied Gordon. I'm a little older than that, but it would be then that my first batch of siblings came to be. Oh, the Fat Controller will certainly have something for that. Realizing this, the others stopped their teasing. It would be a grand occasion for their friend,
Yep.
and it felt
Definitely
harsh
would.
to dampen it. The Fat Controller did indeed have a plan, and shared it with Gordon the next day. As I'm sure you're aware, this year marks a significant anniversary for you, Gordon. So to celebrate...
Hold on. I just need to figure out when Gordon was built. Because if Gordon's in this story, if Gordon is celebrating the 80th anniversary of his brothers, then what year would that make the 80th anniversary? What year would that make the 80th anniversary? So, of Gordon's class. So Gordon obviously was. I would say Gordon was built in. It was in 1921. It was, so that would make 2001 the 80th anniversary year. So this story would take place in 2001, and the controller obviously is the Stephen Topham hat.
Celebrated, you will
That's
be
basically what
hauling
it
a set
is.
of rail tours across the island. Not only that, you will be repainted in your original green livery. Gordon was ecstatic. He had not been green in a long time. Furthermore, continued the Fat Controller, as an extra tribute, you shall carry the name and number of your fallen brother, Great Northern. Who was Great Northern? Asked Percy.
Who is it?
He was the first of my siblings, explained
Oh,
Gordon.
I get it.
I sadly didn't get to know him well, but Flying Scotsman described him as an angel. Apparently he had a rebuild one time, and looked a little strange, but he remained the same engine.
Oh, okay.
At first, Gordon was pleased with the arrangements. However, as the anniversary drew nearer, he seemed more and more unhappy. He didn't talk as much, and
Obviously, we know Gordon struggles with the fact that he and Flying Scots are the only of their class left, and all his other brothers have been scrapped, unfortunately. So this is obviously going to be an expansion of what we saw in Tenders for Henry.
often came off as grumpy. The other engines were worried. What's up with him now? Huffed James. With what's coming up, you'd think he'd never shut up. It is a bittersweet thing, I suppose, said Henry. He and Scotsman are all that's left of their kind,
Yep.
so a celebration for them is no doubt a reminder of that. Edward thought about it. You may be right, Henry, though I have a feeling there's a little more to it than that. Well, why don't someone ask him? Pondered James. We're not going to find out on our own, are we? The others agreed, and Edward volunteered to speak with Gordon himself. That evening, Gordon puffed sulkily into the sheds. Edward had been waiting patiently for him. Good evening, he said politely. Gordon didn't answer. What's the matter, Gordon? Are you not looking forward to the anniversary? Finally, he looked at the old engine. Edward, do you think it's right on what I'm going to do? Whatever do you mean?
He means
Think
about
about
the
it,
event.
Gordon said. Imagine someone went about dressed up as you, pretending to be you. Would you find that respectful? I don't think I'm famous enough for that to happen, chuckled Edward.
Yep.
But I think you need to look at it differently. You're not pretending to be Great Northern. Everyone around you will know you're not the original engine. It's a tribute to one of your many brothers.
Yep. It's
A loving
tribute.
gesture to his memory. A reminder of a very different and special time in history. You won't be
True that.
disrespecting him, continued Edward. It will be a way of honouring him and
Honour
all
his
your
memory.
brothers. You will always be Gordon, that we all know so well. That will never change. Obviously you love your brothers. Why, of course I do, puffed Gordon. Then you shouldn't be ashamed to go through with this. You should do it with pride and care. At
That's all that
last,
matters.
after a moment, the big engine smiled warmly. Thank you, Edward. A week later, Gordon was taken.
I thought I was an advert coming up, but that's not the case. But yeah, you're not disrespecting Great Northern Gordon. You're paying tribute to him. You're honouring his memory. It's not you pretending to be. You're not really pretending to be him. You're just dressing up like him. You're paying a tribute to him. You're being painted like him, and you're honouring his legacy.
into the works to have his repaint. Other rangers took over the express for him, and were eagerly awaiting his return. At last, the big day came. A special rake of coaches had been polished and painted for the occasion. Thomas had been given the honour to bring them into the big station, as the Fat Controller knew he would handle them grandly. Only Edward and Henry had time to watch the train off. Thomas wanted to stay too, but he had to return to his branch line.
Mm-hmm.
"I'll hopefully see him at the junction anyway," he called cheerfully. It wasn't long before they heard a long whistle in the distance and spotted a familiar
Wait
shape
for it.
reversing towards them. Both engines returned the call with their own whistles, looking with
There he
awe
is.
at their friend. Gordon, the green engine, looked and felt amazing.
Gordon the
He had
Green.
been thoroughly polished, so his paint sparkled in the sunshine. He also carried a different tender, one that had been used by his brothers in England. "It's a good thing I have a different shape now," whispered Henry. "Otherwise people would get us mixed up again." Edward
Yeah, we don't want what remember the events of Once in a Blue Moon, guys? Remember the events of Once in a Blue Moon where Henry was painted the same color blue he was, and then obviously that led to him and Gordon getting mixed up, and it resulted in Gordon having to take the flying kipper instead. I think we all know that.
chuckled while Gordon backed onto the coaches as a thunderous applause echoed round the station. "You look marvellous," said Edward. "I'm sorry I've been so grumpy," sighed Gordon. "I feel silly for being so worked up in the first place." "That's all right," replied Henry. "It's just nice to see you in a better mood." The Fat Controller stood next to the train
Sorry,
with
I
a
had to do that.
microphone. The crowd quieted down as he spoke. "It is an honor to host a wonderful celebration on this island. It was 80 years ago that the world first saw one of the finest engine classes to exist. This is just as much a special day for them as it is for our dear Gordon. It was just before 80 years that my grandfather brought him to this railway for the purpose of pulling our express. A duty he has performed very well, with some hiccups here and there."
Yeah, we know.
This was met with a chorus of laughter. Gordon joined in, though secretly he partly wished that wasn't said. Putting those incidents aside, one thing has always been certain. Gordon has and still shows great pride, respect, and love in his responsibility.
Yep.
Through time, he has provided his strength to his fellow engines, forming many friendships which he holds dearly. Additionally, along with Flying Scotsman, he carries the legacy of his brothers into the present day and well into the future.
Yep. And
He
still
is
does it to this
truly
day.
worthy of our respect. It's indeed my pleasure, as it was for my grandfather and my father before me, to have him be a member of this railway. The station was filled with loud claps and cheers. They
That's
were
our
almost
Gordon.
drowned out by long shrieks of whistles from Edward and Henry. Gordon simply smiled, taking in the endless praise. It took some time, but eventually the passengers had boarded the coaches and they could begin their journey. With a grand whistle of his own, Gordon snorted out of the station. He had a lot on his mind that day. He thought about Scotsman, about Great Northern, about the rest of his brothers that are sadly gone. There were others he thought about though. Henry, James, Thomas, Percy, Edward, and many more. Now, despite all their differences in purpose, they've been together through so much.
So much.
Gordon
That's so
couldn't call
true.
them his brothers, of course, but he was more than proud to call them family.
Family and friends. There he is. Our big blue proud engine. Wow, I'm actually getting a bit emotional right there. This is Gordon's probably one of the best characters out of the Railway series. He is. I mean, I really like the fact they expanded on his struggles. With his in Tenders for Henry, where he struggled with the fact that he and Scotsman are the only of their class left. how Great Northern was another one of the famous brothers that unfortunately didn't make it right there. And, how Gordon struggled with the fact that he thought he'd be mocking Great Northern by dressing up as him or posing as him, but Edward's wise words telling him that he's not mocking him, he's honouring his Great Northern's legacy. He is right there by celebrating what their class was basically all about and how fine that it was back in the 2019 to early 1920s it was. So yeah, when you lose someone, the best thing you can do is honor their legacy, and perhaps even continue it for them, because legacies are a thing of beauty. They are. When you build something up from the ground from scratch and it becomes so recognizable in the world, like, I don't know, Super Mario Galaxy for the Nintendo Wii, maybe the legacy that game holds to this day. That's a perfect example of building up a legacy by just a simple game it was. But the legacy of, the Railway series 80 years on, still being felt is so many fans like myself. Well, I grew up with the television series, obviously. Reverend Wilbur Awdry deserves all the credit because he laid the grounds for what Thomas would become to this day it would. And 80 years on, it's still going strong, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens in the future. That's all I can say. Can't wait to see what happens in the future. So, yeah, it was very bittersweet for Gordon because obviously he was excited to do this, but was fearing he would mock one of his brothers. He would by doing it, but he's not mocking him. He's honoring his legacy. That's what I love about this story. It is because you're not mocking your brother, you're honoring his legacy. So yeah, that's all I got to say. That was the audio production, and it was really good to see get a deeper insight into Gordon's struggles with not having many of his brothers around anymore, with Scotsman being the only brother he has. So yeah, really nice story for the 80th anniversary that I kind of now wish I could react to on the day, but I reacted to the pilot because I felt like that was a significant moment that it was found. It was. So yeah, you do always see my previous Tom's reactions whenever there's an audio story of trains adaptation. I will play this up in the top right corner of your screen right now. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that like button for me. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this video I reacted to. Also know in the comments down below what other videos you want me to react to next. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, links to them will be in the description down below. Share this video, subscribe if you're new here, when I get notified. We have my new videos in the post community tab, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!